It was a perfectly ordinary Saturday morning in the Healer household. Bluey and Bingo were playing their favorite game of Keepy Uppy with a balloon in the living room, while Dad was reading the newspaper on the couch. "Come on, Bingo. Don't let it touch the ground," Bluey called out excitedly. "I'm trying," Bingo giggled. But as the balloon drifted toward the corner of the room, something strange happened. The shadow in the corner seemed to move on its own, reaching out like a dark hand to catch the balloon. "Did you see that?" Bluey whispered to Bingo, her ears perking up with curiosity rather than fear. Meanwhile, Mum was preparing lunch when she noticed the kitchen shadows behaving oddly. They seemed to stretch and twist in ways that didn't match the sunlight coming through the window. "That's peculiar," she murmured to herself. Bluey had been watching the shadows all morning. She was convinced they were playing along with their games. "Bingo, I think we have a new friend. A shadow friend." The family was enjoying a barbecue in the backyard when the shadow phenomenon became impossible to ignore. Every shadow in the yard was moving independently, creating shapes and patterns that defied logic. "The shadows are dancing." Bingo clapped her hands in delight. But Bluey noticed something the others didn't. The shadows weren't just dancing. They were trying to communicate. They formed letters, spelling out words, help and trapped. That night, Bluey couldn't sleep. The shadow on her bedroom wall was moving, forming the shape of what looked like a sad, lonely creature. "Are you okay, shadow friend?" Bluey whispered into the darkness. The shadow nodded slowly, then pointed to itself and made a gesture like it was trapped behind glass. "You're stuck, aren't you? Stuck in the shadow world." Bluey crept downstairs to find her family. The shadows throughout the house were now clearly visible as a separate entity, a tall, thin creature that looked like it was made of living darkness, but with kind, sad eyes. "Mom, Dad, Bingo, come quick." The family gathered in the living room, where the shadow creature stood in the center, no longer hiding. "It's actually quite friendly looking," Mom observed. "What do you want, mate?" Dad asked the shadow creature directly. The creature pointed to the window, then to itself, then made a gesture like flying away. "I think I understand," Bluey said thoughtfully. "You're not from our world, are you? You're from somewhere else, and you got lost." The shadow creature nodded eagerly. "And you've been trying to play with us because you're lonely," Bingo added with her usual empathy. "Well then," Dad said with a smile, "let's help you get home." It was a rainy Tuesday when the Healer family decided to visit the Brisbane Museum of Natural History. Bluey and Bingo were excited to see the dinosaur bones and ancient artifacts, but they had no idea they were about to encounter something far more mysterious. "Look at all these old things, Bingo!" exclaimed Bluey as they wandered through the sculpture hall. "I bet they have amazing stories to tell." In the corner of the hall stood an unusual concrete sculpture rough, humanoid in shape, with rebar reinforcement visible through cracks in its surface. A small placard read, "Unknown Origin, donated anonymously." The sculpture seemed oddly out of place among the classical marble statues. "That one looks a bit scary," whispered Bingo, staying close to her sister. "Don't worry, it's just a statue," Bluey said confidently. But as they turned to look at other exhibits, they heard a strange scraping sound behind them. When they spun around, the concrete sculpture had moved. It was now facing them directly, its crude features somehow more menacing than before. Did it just move?" Bingo asked, her voice trembling. "Statues don't move, Bingo. We must have remembered it wrong," Bluey replied, though she felt a chill run down her spine. They decided to play a game to calm their nerves. "Let's play Museum Explorers," suggested Bluey. "We'll discover the secrets of this place." But every time they looked away from the concrete figure, they heard that scraping sound again. Each time they turned back, it had moved closer. The museum seemed to grow quieter, other visitors mysteriously absent from their section. "Bluey, I don't like this game anymore," Bingo whimpered as the sculpture now stood only a few meters away. That's when Bluey remembered something Dad had taught her about being brave. "Bingo, remember what Dad says? Sometimes the scariest thing." It was a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning in the Healer household. Bluey and Bingo sat at the breakfast table when something strange happened. Their shadows on the wall began moving independently, waving and dancing while the family sat perfectly still. "Look at our shadows," Bingo whispered, pointing at the wall. The shadows seemed to be trying to communicate something, gesturing frantically toward the backyard. Following their mysterious shadows outside, the family discovered a small, forgotten stuffed dog toy hidden beneath the old tree. It was dirty and weathered, clearly lost for a long time. "The shadows were trying to help us find it," Bandit realized, picking up the little toy gently. "They were playing a helping game with us." Bluey's eyes lit up with understanding. "That was the best game ever. We helped the shadows, and they helped us find something that was lost." As the family cleaned the toy and gave it a new home, their shadows returned to normal. But sometimes, just sometimes, when the light hits just right, the Healer family's shadows give them a little wave, a reminder that even scary things can be friendly, and every shadow has a story to tell. It was a beautiful Saturday morning in the Healer household. Bluey and Bingo were enjoying their breakfast when Dad brought something special from the garage. "Look what I found in Grandpa's old things," said Bandit, placing a mysterious music box on the kitchen table. The box was covered in strange symbols that seemed to shimmer in the morning light. Bluey's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Can we open it, Dad?" she asked. Bandit nodded, but as Bluey wound the tiny key, something felt different. A hauntingly beautiful melody began to play. The tiny ballerina inside spun gracefully, but the tune seemed to echo through the house in ways that defied explanation. As the melody continued, strange things began to happen. Spoons stirred the air, cabinet doors swayed gently, and the morning light seemed to dim without any clouds in the sky. Bingo tugged at Mum's arm. "Something's not right," she whispered. But Bluey couldn't look away from the mesmerizing dance of the tiny figure. Throughout the house, objects began to move as if awakened by the ancient melody. Picture frames tilted, toys rolled across the floor, and the very walls seemed to hum along. The family gathered in the living room, staying close together. "Maybe we should close it," suggested Chilli, but the music box seemed to have a mind of its own. The melody grew more complex, more beautiful, and more mysterious. Musical notes seemed to dance in the air, creating patterns that told a story of long ago. Suddenly, Bluey understood. "It's not scary," she announced. "It's lonely." The music box has been waiting so long to share its song with a family who would listen. The Healer family sat together and truly listened to the melody. As they did, the mysterious effects became gentle and welcoming, like the house itself was dancing with joy. The music box had been crafted long ago by someone who poured their love into every note, every carving. It had been waiting for a family who would appreciate its magic. As understanding filled their hearts, the house settled into peaceful harmony. The music box had found its purpose again, bringing a family together through the power of music. Bluey gently closed the music box, but kept it on the kitchen table. "Some magic isn't meant to be hidden away," she said wisely. "It's meant to be shared." From that day forward, the mysterious music box became part of their family traditions. Every Saturday morning, they would wind it up and dance to its magical melody. Even Bingo, who had been frightened at first, learned to love